Hey, Maggie. Hey, Jonathan. Ooh, can you guys hear me? Let's see. Okay. Let me see. Hey, everyone. Good morning, y'all. Are you able to hear me? Hey, Wendy. Yeah, we're good. Okay, cool. Awesome. Good to see you all. Let's set up the chat. Hey, Elizabeth. Hey, Margaret. Hey, Jonathan. Hey, good to see you all. Hey, Mary. Let's see who's joining. Maddie, Terry, Lewis. How's it going? Hey, Kim. Oh, my internet connection's a little unstable. Let's see. If at any point you all cannot hear me, will you put that in the chat so I just know like that I'm, whether I'm unstable or anything? You guys with me on that? You can just put it on the chat. Hey, Ronnie, we can't hear you or something, just so I know. Is that cool? Okay. All right. So it's good to see everyone. Welcome to today's session. Yeah, I'm excited. Okay, good. The audio is good, but there's a delay in the video. Oh, okay. That's good to know. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can go to a better connection. One sec. Hold on a second. Taking you on a ride of my house. Hold on one second. We're going to get started in a second. We're going to get started in a second, y'all. I'm just setting up here to get to a better connection. All right, I'm going to use my room, which has a little bit better connection. And we're going to get started right away. Let me just see real quick. Is the video any better now? Maybe somebody can tell me on the chat if it's a little better. Okay. Good morning. Morning, Jacqueline. All right. So we're 2 minutes late. I'm sorry to have started a little later. I just wanted to make sure the video is good. And I'm super excited about today's topic. But before we delve into today's topic and get a chance to really connect with one another, I wanted to just take a moment to center ourselves and just take a moment to like arrive and slow ourselves down. Oh, there's no video, just a black screen. Can most people see my face? Maybe put that in the chat if you can see my face, because I'm seeing my video.
Yes.
Oh, okay, so you can see me. Yes, but it's frozen. You're frozen. I have a still shot. Okay, how about this? The audio is good. Okay, good. So I'm just going to keep going because the audio is good enough. So, and you can, most of you can see me, even though I'm frozen. And I'm just going to keep going. And if for any reason you can't hear the audio, because that's the most important thing, even though my face is beautiful and gorgeous and y'all want to see it, the audio is most important. So if at any point you cannot hear the audio, please tell me. All right. So, or just put it in the chat. Okay. So let's just take a moment to center ourselves. Let's get into a mindful body position. And again, what that means is that your back is straight, your hands are on your lap, and You can just take a moment, and I invite you to even close your eyes. I'm just going to take a second to just really connect to our bodies and connect to our breath. And I invite you to even just notice, how does the air feel as it enters your nostrils? I invite you to pay attention to how it feels for you to make contact with the ground. So just notice your feet on the ground, and how does that feel? And as much as possible, see if you can just lengthen your exhalation just a little bit. Just see if you can lengthen your exhalation. So maybe if you're breathing to the count of 4, you can breathe out to the count of 8. And as you take your next breath, see if you can just visualize your body just relaxing. You can even literally see your shoulders drop. And go ahead and take 3 deep breaths at your own pace. There's no pressure, no pressure of time. Take your time here. Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm really excited about today's topic because I've designed it partly because of a lot of the things that I'm hearing from, people I'm connecting with online, a lot of things I'm hearing from friends and things like that. And I just think that these days, I hear more and more people having a hard time with, getting along with their partners, like when we have to deal with shelter in place. It's easy to get into fights with each other's, with each other. It's easy to get on each other's nerves. And what I want to do today is just to give you a skill that has been incredibly powerful for me. And it's powerful for my own well-being. And part of the reason it's so powerful for my own well-being is because relationships are the number one predictor of well-being. And the more we're able to be in alignment, and in connection and in attuned resonance and connection with our loved ones in our life, the easier it is on our system, the easier it is on our nervous system. Now, when I do workshops in schools and districts and leadership teams and all of that, I give people a whole bunch of different tools to be able to be in relationships more effectively. What I want to do today is I want to give you one of these tools. And this tool is very simple intellectually to understand. It's much harder to actually implement constantly in life because it requires mindfulness. This tool is curiosity, specifically curiosity about others. So I want to define it for you. I want to tell you why it's important, and I want to get into the how we become more curious about other people's experience and how it can help us. And then we're going to delve into an activity that we'll do together. So curiosity is the desire to learn or know about anything. Another way to think of it is it's the degree to which someone shows interest in what is happening. What it's not is making assumptions and then asking questions based on those assumptions. And this is very important because especially during times of adversity, times of stress, when we experience stress, it's very easy for us to make assumptions about others without even knowing that we're making assumptions. And when you do the opposite, when you're curious about someone else's experience, you actually create an energetic shift that opens up a new channel of connection. In a way, curiosity takes empathy and nuance in a relationship to a whole new level. And also, when you get curious about your own experience and someone else's experience in this relational dynamic, you gain clarity. So, how do we get curious about others? So, there's 4 steps that I'm going to share. Step 1 is to notice your capacity and your assumptions. So what that means is, look, your capacity to be curious about others is generally pretty low when your bandwidth is low. There's nothing wrong with you. Of course, our bandwidth are going to be low during these times, and in life in general, sometimes our bandwidths are low. But it's just good. It's just good to know, to have some awareness that, hey, right now my bandwidth is low. And so most likely I'm not going to have the ability to be very curious with this person. So monitoring ourselves on a scale of 1 to 10 about our curiosity, and even getting curious about that, can tell us a lot about what is really going on. For example, you're in a tough fight, or in a situation with your partner, or with your kids, or with whoever in your life, and you can kind of become curious about, oh, why is it so difficult for me, like right now, to get curious about their world and their experience? Well, maybe I'm triggered. Maybe I'm triggered. Maybe I feel hurt. Maybe I'm, and you can begin to kind of get a sense of what's happening for you, and then be able to communicate what is actually happening for you, as opposed to attacking them with what's going on for them. The second thing is to notice whether you're making any assumptions. And if you do make assumptions about that person, then drop them. Because as soon as you assume why they're feeling the way they are, it kills curiosity, and people usually pull away. So all of that is under step 1. Step 2 has to do with dropping your agenda. So especially when we try to help someone, notice if you have an agenda and then drop it. Like, having an agenda comes from the desire to fix, to take away pain. The goal really in connection and curiosity should be, I want to understand your experience. Not, I want to solve your problem, take away your pain, or convince you of something. Dropping our agenda, especially when we're in conflict with someone, can be very hard. And yet, the more we have an agenda when we're in conflict with someone, the more resistant they can become. It's not that it's bad for us to have an agenda. Of course, we'll have an agenda from time to time, but it's a matter of having the ability to decide, okay, I notice I do have this, it's here, but I'm going to kind of put it to the side and just right now make my priority to connect with this person and get curious about their world. Step 3 is to ask open-ended questions. I'll give you some examples. I'm curious about ... Tell me more about ... What's the hardest part about ... What's your concern? It's amazing when Allison comes to me. You met Allison, most of you last week. When she comes to me and she, let's say, is upset about something that I did or said to her, or just feeling some tension between us, and she shares, or she's just afraid of something in her life, or just, feeling some difficulties in her life. After listening to her, if I respond back with genuine curiosity and I say, hey, tell me more about that, I want to know more, it immediately connects us so much, and if I'm able to, especially if I'm able to kind of notice what's going on for me and not get defensive, if especially if it's in a kind of like a relational dynamic between us. And instead I can just say, hey, tell me more, I want to know more. And it's genuine. It just saves a shit ton of time and energy, okay, away from like fights and things like that. You with me? So the last step is to simply share how you're impacted and what you might be imagining. And again, stay away from fixing the problem. So after the person shares with you, after you ask these open-ended questions and the person shares with you, you can say something like, I really felt you when you shared this. Or what seems really important to you is this. Or what I get about you is this. Because this is the next part is really important. This is something that I learned. I mean, I've seen Brene Brown talk about that, and I love that quote that she has. And that is that fixes don't usually make us feel better. What makes us feel better is connection. I'll say it again. Fixes don't usually make us feel better. What makes us feel better is connection. And so what we want to avoid here is not to assume anything about anyone and not to try to go in and fix. We really just want to be there with the person fully. It's not to say that we might provide suggestions later if the person really wants it. I just recommend that you would ask if they want suggestions first. So in a moment, let me just repeat the 4 steps because I think I kind of went fast with this. Yeah. So step 1 is to notice your capacity and your assumptions. I mean, how much capacity do you have right now to be curious about the other person? And by the way, if the answer is like, I'm at a 1 out of 10 capacity and curiosity, there's nothing wrong with you. It's totally fine. And you just realize that at this point, you're like, okay, right now, I'm not a great listener. I'm not going to be like, the support that you really, really want. And so I just need a little time. I need a little time to kind of recharge my battery, and then I'll come back and we'll be in connection and I can be more curious. But I'm just noticing that about myself now. So I just, so that's one thing. The second thing, again, is to really notice your assumptions. I have to tell you, the vast majority of people make assumptions without even recognizing they're making assumptions. They think their assumptions are facts when they're not. That's usually what creates the most problems in households, but then also in schools. I work with a lot of principals to teach them this principle of like, hey, just recognize what's happening right now so that you can really notice, is it an assumption or is it not? And just check it out. I also work with teachers on that. The second step is drop your agenda, especially if someone comes to you and you notice that you want to help them. Really important, as much as possible, drop your agenda. It's not that you will never, ever, ask them if they want suggestions. It's just that you first just want to be with them, fully in connection with them, to try to get their reality completely. Because again, fixes is not what makes something better. Connections is what makes something better. Then ask open-ended questions. I'm curious about this. Tell me more about this. What's hard about this? What's your concern about this? And then the last piece is really share how you're impacted. It's interesting. One time I had a person come to me with a problem that I had no idea how to fix. And I remember at the end of after they shared, I basically said to them something to the effect of, well, I honestly don't even know how to respond. I'm just really glad that you decided to share this with me, and I'm really glad that I get to be here for you. And that made a massive difference for this person. And just by me staying with them, in connection with them, I slowly supported them towards getting their own solution. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to get into small groups in a moment. And I'm going to divide you into groups of 2 or 3, okay? If you're in a group of 3, 2 people, so partner A and B, will be asking partner C a couple of questions, which I'm going to tell you in a moment what they will be. If you're if you're only with another person, then of course one person is going to ask another person these questions. These questions are, first of all, just kind of get to know each other a little bit. Hey, who are you? Where are you from? You know, where do you work? And then the second thing is you're going to be asking them, I'm curious about what at work might cause you some stress. Or if you prefer, you can ask them, hey, I'm curious right now, like as we're going through this COVID-19 situation, what's causing you the most stress right now? And at that point, the person's going to share. But I just want to say something. At any point, the person who's asked the question can always have the option to pass. So for example, you can always say like, that's a great question. What's your next question? Okay. So you always have the opportunity to pass on a question, because after the person who asked after the person asked the first question of like, hey, what's your struggle at work or at home? And then you're going to be sharing about it. The person might ask a follow-up question or might say, hey, tell me more, and stuff like that. So kind of just be aware of that. And then after you're done asking them, maybe one or two follow-up questions, then the person who's asking the question is going to respond with, thanks for sharing. I felt you the most when you shared this. Or what I get about this situation is that this is really important for you. Does that make sense? So it's not so much like you're not going into fix-it mode. You're not trying to like give him solutions or anything. You're simply practicing not giving solutions. You're practicing just being with the person. And also practicing for the person who's sharing, practicing not being in this alone anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and put you into groups. Again, you get to decide who is the one who's asking questions, who's the one who's responding. The person who's asking the question is going to ask the question, what's your struggle at work, or what's your struggle right now at home? And then a person responds, there's some follow-up questions, person responds again, and then, hey, where I felt you the most was here. All right? Cool. So let's do that, and then I'm going to bring everybody back in before 11:30 and just share a few more things about this important skill. All right, let's do it. So breakout rooms. All right, here we go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, okay, I just see Ronnie there.
Yeah, I joined you.
Hi,
too.
Ronnie.
Hey.
Oh, hey. Okay.
Is it okay if I join you too? Just to.
Yes, you may.
Bye.
Okay.
No worries. No, I'm
right.
always trying to figure out the technology piece. I'm like, oh, did I push the button? Did I do something wrong?
Oh, no, I get it. No, it's all good.
Yeah. So I don't know, Irma, do you want me to ask the question, or what do you think?
Okay. Yes, I am struggling with play dates. Because my daughter's 5 and she wants play dates.
I
I don't know
hear
if
her
you
in the
heard
back.
in the background. You said a
Mhm.
lot. So, Lena, what are you struggling with?
I think having my college-age children at home and, well, the whole family being it together again, and now getting used to that, just as I was getting used to the empty nest. It's back to, yeah, kids at home. So I think that's it.
What about you, Ronnie?
Right now, I think the things that what I'm struggling the most with now is some of the, I think just sort of like the energy that some of my friends and some people that I'm supporting kind of are coming with, like this, like have noticed like being there for them and not making wrong for feeling that or anything, but then also like not have it fully shift kind of my energy. Does that make sense? And like keeping my energy at a place of accepting whatever is coming up for me, being okay with difficult emotions that are coming up, but in the same time, not totally like dropping my energy in response to other people's energies. Does that make sense?
So you don't want to be a reflection of their energy, but you want to empathize.
Yeah, exactly. I want to be there for them. I don't want to make them wrong. It's totally fine if they feel the way they do. And in the same time, it's like I also want to just kind of be true to what's coming up for me and not necessarily like have my energy kind of brought low because of that. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, I understand. I mean, in terms of energy levels, it's like for me, now that we're 4 adults here, it's that their energy really affects, how I'm behaving, I feel like. So that's what makes sense to me.
Can you tell me, I'm curious if you're open to it, can you tell me more about that?
Well, sure. I mean, my husband's working from home. I'm
Right.
working from home. And then you've got the college kids who are now home. And
Right.
it's like reversing back to like, okay, I'm the mom again, doing the laundry and the dishes.
Right.
And then their energy just, it's a adjustment again. But yeah, at least we're all together. That's a positive, and it can be a challenge at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. I absolutely get that. Of course. I mean, it's such a shift, all of a sudden, all these new responsibilities are falling on you. And yeah.
No, that's true.
I'm feeling kind of, I can just resonate with that. I can kind of feel that I'm picking up, and tell me if I'm wrong, because this isn't imagining, I'm making up a story in my head, but I'm imagining that perhaps there is a little bit of frustration on your part, maybe for not being seen, for doing all these things again. Is that true or not?
I don't know about frustration, but I was just getting used to the empty nest phase, myself, focusing on myself more.
Yeah.
And just whatever that means. And then back to the mom role
Right,
again, which
right,
is
right.
okay.
Totally.
But, I was just getting adjusted to it. But
Yeah, totally. I get that.
I
Yeah.
know. But what about you, Irma? So in terms of play dates, can you even have play dates right now with your daughter? You probably can't even do that, right?
We are reimagining the way play dates can be.
Yeah.
So we had a set routine of what we did before, and it was very sociable, very outside, very active, and very planned out far in advance. And now we're reimagining. So yesterday we had a Google Hangouts play date where we played charades.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
So that's what we're doing now, is re-envisioning what we can do through digital play dates.
Yep.
That's a good way to handle it. Yeah.
We're doing the same with our kids. Yeah. I'm gonna go back to the main room. I'll give you guys another kind of 60 seconds to finish up, and you can come back whenever you are ready. Thanks for sharing, you two, and for being with us.
Thank you. Yeah, thank
Thank you,
you.
Ronnie, for joining.
Yeah.
Return to the main room.
I think you're muted, Ron.
Thank you. Thank you. I was muted. I appreciate that, Mary. Thank you, Mary.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Start over.
Awesome. So I'm gonna mute everyone for just a second, and then I'm gonna unmute everyone in a moment. But just want to put out there just this idea, this thought that I had out there. Like, what if we were super gentle with ourselves during these days of going through all of this, and while doing that, what if we got really curious about what happens to our partner when they're snapping, or what happens to our kids when they're snapping? Like, what if you say, like, wow, you're so upset, like, I'm wondering why, what's going on for you, you know? And obviously it's a lot easier said than done, because hey, you know, like, it can trigger us, right? And it can kind of flood our system. So just, you know, don't beat yourself up if that's not something you can do. But just as a thought experiment, what would that look like if you set the intention to say, wow, next time my partner snaps, or my child snaps, or whatever, I'm just gonna, like, see if I can take a moment, take a deep breath, and return, and come back to them with, wow, yeah, I see you're upset, like, tell me more. I really want to know, you know? Because if he's responding in this way, or she's responding in this way, like, you could wonder, like, what if maybe they don't feel loved, or feel abandoned, or feel, you know, something, right? Or maybe they feel completely overwhelmed because, you know, they are just afraid of what's happening right now. So I hope that today was helpful to you, a skill that was helpful. Before we leave, I'm gonna put my social media stuff on the chat. And if I'm, again, sending stuff out daily to support people, so you can follow me on that. And also, just want to put out there that if you are at all interested in contributing to this, to nokidhungry.org, I'm going to put that on the chat as well, just to support kids who are in need. And of course, there's no pressure to do it. I absolutely love connecting with you all. Thank you so much for coming and joining us today. Thank you for participating. I'm really stoked about tomorrow. I'm excited to bring in the energy and to just be filled by your energy. You all freaking rock. So I'm going to unmute everyone so we can just take a moment to just, you know, connect and say bye to everyone. Thank you guys so much for coming and being here. Bye.
Thank you
Bye.
so much. This
Thank
was really
you.
good
Bye.
today.
Laura.
Bye.
See you, Mary.
Bye.
See you, Morali.
See you all tomorrow.
See you,
Hey,
Tatiana.
Allison.
See you, Michelle. See you tomorrow.
It's nice meeting you, Mary.
Bye.
Thanks.
See you, Allison.
Thank
See you, Wendy.
Goodbye.
Absolutely. See you, Maddie. Take care.
Bye.
See you, James. Bye, Laura. Take care, Mindy.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Yeah, for
Bye.
sure. See you.